Baby, my heart's on fire.
Do you know what that song's about?
It's about how novel the fact that there are telephones now that you can express your emotions through.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it is. It is a song about how exciting it is that that the telephones exist now. Televisions did not exist yet.
No.
Boy, were they going to get excited when that happened.
Send me your love by wire? Okay, future man.
My ragtime gal is going to have her mind blown by the television.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's good that we're talking about this in our bonus content after having sung the song, not in the bonus content.
That's
Yes.
true. That's true. That's true.
You know what? I'm going to sing it again just so we can get it in there.
Okay.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
Ragtime gal.
If you refuse me, honey, you lose me, then I'll just change the channel. That's the TV version later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I'll hang up the phone. Right?
Articulating Splines, this is episode 265 of Insert Credit, the number one and only podcast where video game discussion is punctuated by the soothing tones of a horrible buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and one of my favorite fail states in a video game is before the last fight in Paper Mario The Thousand-Year Door, where the final boss gives you the option to join her, and you can just say yes, and that's the end of the game. The curtain closes, and it's like, and you took over the world together. The end.
Oh, man. I don't have a very good internal database of this. My name is Frank Cifaldi, and my favorite fail state in a video game. Non-specifically, I'm going to just say the entire Oendan / Elite Beat Agents series very intentionally has entertaining fail states for every song that they put as much effort into as the success states. So that series is there for you fail state lovers.
A viable answer.
I'm Tim Rogers, and my favorite fail state in a video game would be the one that Alex Jaffe's choice ripped off, which was Dragon Quest 1, where the guy famously asks you at the end if you would like to join him, and if you say yes, it immediately cuts to black, and you have to reset the game.
I thought he kills you in that if you say yes.
It's not perfectly clear what he does. It's left extremely ambiguous.
I mean, wasn't The Sopranos inspired by that?
Yeah,
yes.
What I liked about The Thousand-Year Door was the kind of subversion of that the villain doesn't betray you. You just go ahead and take over the world.
Yeah, that could be chill.
Yeah.
I would actually say my favorite fail state that ever organically happens to me in a game was I was playing the game Dororo, which is what it's called in Japan. I'm using the Japanese title for a reason. It's on PlayStation 2. I was quite far in the game, and I saved my game right in front of a boss, and I only had a sliver of health and no items left, and I was unable to beat that boss. Any hit at all would kill me, so I had to beat the boss without getting hit. And I tried for 4 hours, and then I gave up, and I didn't have a backup save of the game.
Ooh, yeah, that's always rough.
Really felt like the true, grim ending of the game. I believe stuff like that got fixed for the US release. One of the wonderful things about games getting released in the West a lot later than they got released in Japan is that the stuff actually got fixed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
Hold on. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
now I'm Brandon Sheffield.
Couldn't see the button.
My favorite fail state, it's a good question. My initial thought was those Eyes Maze games where, Grow Cube and Grow RPG and all those things where no matter what happens, you always get to see something interesting. There's the little characters, even if you fail, do something fun. They'll flop around and fall into a pool of water or whatever. But I think I've talked about this on the show before, but I've also had that experience that Tim had where I saved in between boss rounds on the ship at the end of Parasite Eve, and I had used all my items on the first round of the boss because I was a dumb guy who didn't know that all Square Enix games have multiple forms to the boss, and I couldn't beat it because I didn't have enough heal items and stuff. Yeah, so I got stuck there. I was stuck on a boat for eternity.
I mean, for my Dororo thing,
It's
it's like
anime.
I kept trying to be like, is there anywhere I can go that might have a healing item that I can get before I fight this boss? And the answer was just like catastrophically no. I sat there for several hours, deep into the night, a hot, rainy summer night with no air conditioning, trying to find an item that could heal my guy because I was really enjoying the game and the story, and couldn't do it. That game was by Red. Wait, no, it wasn't. It wasn't by Red. It feels like a game by Red. Thank you. It was by Overworks? Was it by Overworks? Who made that game? One of those Sega studios that was not super good. But they were wonderful, It's this weird mixture of like not. It was Red. Okay, I'm not bonkers. It was Red.
Red was certainly involved.
It was Sega WoW were the producers and Red were the developers.
It's unfortunate that you have said this, because it just confirms the need that I and many others have to hoard items until the final boss fight. It's
you never know.
Confirms that it's true.
The items were like rarer in this game too, which is an even worse problem. Red actually just released a new Gungrave game for the Xbox that's on Xbox Game Pass that I downloaded but didn't play yet. So I'm excited to do that. It really looks like a PS2 game. So maybe that's why Dororo was in the front of my mind, because I promise you I promise you it is not always in the front of my mind. It just kind of sits in the back most of the time, minding its own business.
Before we get started, I have an optional topic for us.
Uh-oh.
Do we want to talk about the FTC suing to block Microsoft's acquisition of Blizzard Activision? Because it feels important, but I also feel like we talk a little too much about mergers and acquisitions on this show.
Man, I don't know. We could.
We don't have to. It's up to you.
Monopolies are bad unless they're board games, but even that, not a
Even
very
that
good
board
game,
game's no good.
honestly.
Yeah.
So just all monopolies are bad.
Yeah.
I like the game. I like the game of life better, dude.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
You ever had a really good time playing Monopoly? No.
No.
Monopoly's something you play with like your Ivy League educated dad if you're a rich boy and you're back home for the holidays or whatever.
My mom can attest to this, but I spent many Saturdays just playing Monopoly against myself, that I would be like all four players.
Did you win?
That is the ideal experience. So I think if you're going to play Monopoly, you might as well go straight for Itadaki Street, which is like Monopoly for CPAs. If anybody's ever played that game, it's like Monopoly, but if you care more about the numbers. It's designed by Yuji Horii, who once ended a video game by letting the player choose to become part of the bad guys team. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's... Does anyone else have any other things? Anything else to say about this?
I think clearly we're not talking about that topic, so I wanted to bring something up, which is that during the previous... during the intro, I guess, Tim said the word bonkers, and it reminded me that there's a Super Nintendo game called Bonkers, and I don't know anything about that. Brandon, is that a Bonk sequel?
Bonkers?
It's Bonked.
No, isn't it just that
it's a Disney afternoon game.
Yeah, it's that Disney afternoon character.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I'm aware.
It's a good joke.
It's Bonk, and then it's Bonkers, and then it's Bonkist.
Wait, is Bonkers the cat the son of Bonkers? Of Bonk, the caveman?
Oh, boy, that would... Yeah, him and a saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah, why not?
I would say that bonkers are those who bonk. So Brandon is a bonker.
Oh, that's true.
I need to get this thing that's in my head outside of my head, which is that, you mentioned Bonk and a saber-toothed tiger, and I was kind of vaguely, not really intentionally, imagining conception of this child, and I just want to say that the frame of animation of Bonk climbing a wall with his teeth was involved.
Okay.
If one of our many fan artists can get in on that, I'd appreciate that. All right, here's our real first question. It's from friend of the show, Ash Parrish, who won last week's episode.
Congrats, Ash.
Ash says, if you could lock Geoff Keighley in a room and make him reveal the video game industry's biggest secret, what would you ask him?
Oh, that poser doesn't know anything.
No, if we make him do it, a lot of people will find out, and so that's he doesn't know the things. We give him the secret, and then he reveals it, I think is how it works.
Ooh. So we feed him a secret.
We feed him
and
a
then
secret.
lock him in a room and make him repeat what we told him?
Yeah.
Sure.
I got other stuff to do. I don't know.
Yeah, this seems like a lot of work.
That's okay. We gotta... Okay, what is the secret that we want What
do you
would
want
be
to know?
beneficial for people watching the Game Awards?
Okay, are we implanting a secret, or are we pretending that he has secrets? Those are the two options.
I think the spirit of the question is pretending he has secrets.
Okay.
I assumed to implant
Like, he
it.
thinks he's Kojima's friend, right?
Yeah. So could the secret be Kojima doesn't like you?
Yeah.
Oh, we're being mean to Geoff Keighley.
I'm really confused about the question prompt here. If you can lock him in a room and make him reveal a secret, like something he actually knows for real.
Well, that's the discussion, right? We've decided he doesn't actually know anything, so we're either pretending he knows everything,
or we're
implanting a secret that I don't understand Brandon's plan here, but we're telling him something to say to people apparently.
Yeah, my plan was we give him a secret to share with the world that then benefits the game industry somehow.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think this is too complicated a plan.
Yeah,
I think we just need to bully him for information he doesn't have.
I think Ash believes that he knows stuff, so we have to go with the
I
spirit
don't
of
think
Ash.
Ash thinks that. Okay, that's why I was thinking it was the implanting, but okay.
I think Ash would like us to pretend that.
Okay.
Like, all he knows is like what trailers are gonna play that night. You know what I mean? Like, he's seen the trailers. That's what he knows.
True.
He might know some stuff that they canceled last minute because they weren't ready to talk yet. That would be like the biggest secrets I bet he knows.
Yeah.
I want Geoff Keighley to be like, coming up, we got the biggest trailer that's gonna blow your mind, and then they never show it.
That's not a secret.
It's not a secret. I'm just saying that's something I'd like him to do.
To what end, Brandon? What would that accomplish?
It would make me laugh one time.
You know what? A noble goal.
Yeah.
Let's go on to our next topic here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Ash. I'm sorry.
I feel like that was a missed opportunity to just be like, why don't we talk about the Game Awards before the Game Awards?
Yeah,
like, we could have just, it is tonight. Yeah, it's in a few hours. After we finish recording this, the Game Awards will air. We could just try to have a sincere discussion about it, if we like, instead of trying to wrap it in 800 layers of stuff.
Okay, can I start real quick? I'm going to start real quick.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
We all complain that the Game Awards are actually just a
bunch
series
of
commercials, right? And I kind of think all the major awards are. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't really complain about that. I think it's good because then I get to know what's coming out.
Yeah, but you get to know what's coming out through like cinematic trailers. I don't know. Like it all just feels weird. And
I feel like old awards are more about, isn't our craft great? Aren't movies great? Isn't television great? We're the best. We are artists. Whereas newer awards are, here are products that you, the consumer, should buy. It's about self-congratulation versus promotion.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say the same thing I've said in previous years on this show in the last, and that is that it's like having E3 in my house, and there hasn't been an E3 in a while, so I'll let it hang out in my house for a couple hours a year. That's all it gets, right? It's not so bad.
Yeah.
I watch it. I am professionally interested in it from a variety of angles. I'll watch that show. I have noticed on social media. I've only looked at social media a tiny bit this week. I've been staying away from it in general for a very long time. I noticed people talking about fashion for the first time. I've noticed people saying that the males at the Game Awards do not dress well, and almost every single comment I've seen has been phrased in such a way as, nobody ever talks about how badly dressed the men are. Dude, I have been like yelling about how Geoff Keighley needs a suit that fits for as long as I've known who he is.
Yeah.
He needs to he's not, I realize they're yelling at the guys who get there in t-shirts and jeans, and shame on those guys. I don't know. I would wear something a little nicer. I don't know.
Would you wear a suit?
Of course. I've worn suits before, and recently, in fact. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is, Geoff Keighley's suit is so bad, and his suits get like so much worse every year, and it like genuinely hurts me when I see the suits he's wearing. They are so awful. All you need to do is Google, like, what should a suit look like? Me wear what kind suit? ? Like, what me suit should look like? ? Like, it's very easy to find a good picture that shows you what a suit should look like on a guy, where he looks like he's going to his first communion at like a Hong Kong triad church. And it's like, I'm not any kind of a fashion elitist, but Lord, if I were such an important individual, it's cool if you want to wear sneakers with the suit, Jeff. You just got to get a suit that fits correctly. Nobody cool has worn a slim fit suit in like at least 10 years, dude. Like, somebody's got to tell him. So if anybody listening to this knows a way to get this message to Geoff Keighley in time for the Game Awards tonight, you know, I'm sure there's a Men's Warehouse open somewhere in Los Angeles right now. If he could get something better than whatever he's planning to wear. The Final Fantasy 16 trailer tonight, I guess that's going to be cool. They're going to announce the release date. Y'all know that?
Sounds right.
I'm ready for it.
Has anyone ever gotten a character designer to design an outfit to wear at one of these awards shows?
Now, that really seems like the sort of thing somebody would do.
Somebody has done that, I'm sure.
We're just more content to like laugh at Tetsuya Nomura for being Tetsuya Nomura, which is, you know, fair enough. But also, if you could get him to design a suit for you, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I know somebody listening to this is going to jump in my inbox and ask me sincerely and well-meaningly what exactly is wrong with Geoff Keighley's suit. And I just want to reiterate before you do that, you really only need to Google, like, what should a suit look like? How should a suit fit? What are some good suits? There are millions of articles on GQ at the lowbrowest and micro blogs at the highbrowest, strangely enough, that can elucidate for you exactly what you should look for in a suit. And I just it's just really weird, and it feels like a nightmare every time I see him come out on stage in his suit. I'm getting stressed out now just thinking about it.
I don't care what anybody's wearing at this thing. It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
I bet you don't.
It doesn't matter to me at all. I mean, I care about fashion. I like to wear clothes that I choose on purpose. But if other people don't want to do that, I'm kind of whatever about it.
We're not, for the record, talking about other people. We're talking about the host, the MC, the impresario, the dude, the man, the face of the thing. We're talking about him. I mean, he at least, I would rather he wear a t-shirt is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's fair to hold public presenters to a higher standard than regular people.
But then outside
Has he never seen like a late night talk show? Like, I mean, any one of those, he should dress like a late night talk show host at least, you know? And I'm sure he wants to wear a tuxedo. That's fine. Or he wants to wear, I don't know. I'm going to stop talking about this. It's stressing me out.
I was going to say about the awards themselves, in my capacity as someone who's judging a couple of awards here, I feel like submissions to award shows are down kind of across the board, which is really strange. In the case of the Game Awards, I don't think you like pay an amount of money and then submit. I think they just choose them with a committee. But that's interesting and very strange, and I don't know what it means. There's some stuff I can't say, but there's a certain company that I was really expecting to submit a bunch of games, but I think they might be saving the money that they needed to spend to submit the games on investing in crypto or whatever.
What are the costs of submitting a video game for awards?
Oh, well, I mean, it depends on which one, but
$1 million.
The IGF costs, I forget how much it costs.
I think it's like 500. Is that like that popped in my head? I don't.
Yeah,
it might be an old figure too.
I think it's less than that now. And then Indiecade, you have to like be a member, and then there's a submission fee of $100. And I think if you're not a member, it's still just $100, but there's like extra stuff you get as a member. DICE Awards are way more.
What's the price of a judge these days, though? The answer is $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million.
That's a quote from the film Dread. Thank you. What's the price of a judge?
I heard
these
they're working
days?
on a sequel to Dread finally.
Yeah. Heard that too.
Yeah.
That's not my fault.
Can't wait for everyone to pretend that they saw it in the theater 3 times like I did.
No, I saw it at your house.
Yeah, same,
I saw it
actually.
in the theater one time, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, Brandon didn't like it. Congratulations, you get a here. There you go. You get. That's what you saw it and you didn't like it. Good job. Not liking something. Good work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know we're way past time, but
who cares? Just go.
For someone like me, who I think might be a little traumatized from feeling locked in rooms at E3, forced to watch trailers.
Mm-hmm.
How do I enjoy this show?
Smoke weed, dude.
Oh well, kind of keep it on the background, like be doing other stuff, and then Jeff will be like, and now the new Call of Duty, and then you can look at it and be like, there it is. and then you can go back to doing something else.
Call of Duty doesn't need a trailer at the Game Awards.
No, it doesn't. But if it did.
But it's going to have one.
Also, it just came out.
It did just come out.
Well, they're going to have a trailer for like the frog hat or something. Like free frog hat today only.
Man, I'd wear it.
Go log in. Yeah.
Give me a frog.
I think you can enjoy it but write down, or like look at the list of nominees and then write down who you think's going to win. Play bingo with it. I don't know.
An Oscar pool kind of thing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
Why
Except
not?
by yourself.
I think I'm going to hope that there's cool stuff this year, because there was that one year where I discovered Sayonara Wild Hearts and Disco Elysium at the Game Awards. I'd somehow missed both of those. So that hasn't happened since that year. So I'm just going to hope that happens again.
I like how Ed Boon announced that they specifically wouldn't be announcing anything this year.
That's fantastic. No Mortal Kombat 12. So wait,
Right.
let's actually do real quick. Let's do our predictions for.
Yeah, why not? Okay, I like this.
This
Yes.
is this is something every podcast has probably done this week, and we're doing it right. We're doing it after the winners have been announced. Is you'll be hearing this, so you're hearing us predict hours before. Okay, so who's going to win Game of the Year? I'm just going to read them out loud, and you just tell me who you think's going to win. Game of the Year: Stray, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, A Plague Tale: Requiem, Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, or God of War Ragnarok.
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring or God of War. It's one of those two.
Yeah.
Make a commitment.
I think it's Elden Ring.
God of War already won, and Sekiro also won. So they've already won the awards, but the video games industry is nothing if not quite repetitive. So there is a high chance they're going to win. I'm going to slide it toward Elden Ring.
I'm also going. I'm going to go Elden Ring. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say Elden Ring. Is that our? Do we have a consensus? Who else? Anybody else want to cast?
No, that's it.
Consensus. All right. Next one. Best ongoing game: Fortnite, Final Fantasy XIV, Genshin Impact, Apex Legends, or Destiny 2. This is looking pretty big lots here.
I'm gonna say Genshin Impact because they're afraid of what will happen if they don't say Genshin Impact.
Oh, yeah, that could be a thing.
I'm gonna say Fortnite because that's just like where the money is.
I feel like Fortnite didn't have any huge things this year.
I don't know. They probably added a Ninja Turtle.
No.
or something.
Fortnite just added actually a big update like last week.
Just yesterday, or 2 days ago, something like that.
And it had like a new map that people say is the best one ever. And so like it's a tough one because I would say Fortnite because of that update, but that isn't going to affect.
Did
the
not
decision
factor
of
into the
today.
voting whatsoever.
And Final Fantasy 14.
I feel like the judges have more friends at Epic than any other company.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Fortnite. I think it's going to be Fortnite because of that update that people were made privy to information about.
I'm sticking with Genshin Impact.
Sticking with Genshin Impact?
I think last year it would have been Final Fantasy 14 and maybe was. I don't know because they had updates then. But so I think Fortnite because there were big updates.
One thing it's not going to be is Final Fantasy Fortnite, the First Soldier, the game that got Yuji Naka in jail again, which was basically a battle royale game set in the Final Fantasy VII universe. So I would say Fortnite. Final Fantasy 14's thing was last year, man.
Yeah.
That Endwalker.
Yep.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That's not like, I mean, it's still ongoing, and I like that game. Anyway, community support. What is this? Fortnite, Final Fantasy 14, Apex Legends, Destiny 2. Let's community support. Yeah. Lord, best mobile game? Marble Snap is going to win best mobile game.
Yes. Yeah. I don't even want to hear the other
it's
ones.
Marble
Yeah,
Snap.
it's Marble Snap. Yep.
Oh God, the most embarrassing thing whatsoever, most anticipated game. This is, believe it or not, one of their top categories. Hogwarts Legacy. Final Fantasy 16, the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which now has a name, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Starfield, or Resident Evil 4.
Friends.
Resident Evil 4 is the funniest answer.
Yeah, it's not going to be that, though.
Yeah, Resident Evil.
People were making jokes about how this list is the same list as last year, basically, except Resident Evil 4 is on it now.
It's Zelda.
I'm gonna
it's Zelda.
I'm gonna chaos style say it's Starfield and Friends because I do think that people want a new Mass Effect, and I think
Starfield.
People want a new Mass Effect. People want a new Skyrim.
Yeah,
they're about to get something that's a little bit of neither.
Yeah, that's right.
So Starfield is going to be a bad video game. I'm not going to laugh at it. It's just not going to be very good. and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
It can't be.
I'd say my most anticipated on this is Zelda, but I think that they will choose Starfield.
My most anticipated is, I guess, Final Fantasy 16, but I wouldn't even vote for an award if I were given the choice. If I were given the option, I would abstain from voting for whatever this is supposed to be. But I'm guessing Zelda's going to win. So,
yeah.
Anyway, esports game?
Esports.
League of Legends, Dota 2, Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, Valorant, or Rocket League? Lord, let's just skip that one. Best multiplayer game? Splatoon 3 or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, or Overwatch, Multiverses, or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which just came out. Let's say Splatoon 3. Why not?
I was kind of leaning toward that as well. I think, but it also could be Overwatch 2. It had a rough launch, and that was like one of the biggest publicity beats, but a lot of people are playing it, so it's a tough one.
Interesting.
I don't know. Splatoon. Go Splatoon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would also go, I'll also go Splatoon because I think that's the only one I haven't heard people complain about.
Ah, yes. Everybody and their brother is cool on Splatoon now.
Also, when I was in Japan last, the Splatoon 3 was having a Baskin-Robbins campaign. So
that rules. That's good.
there you
So
go.
that's how you know.
Yeah.
Splatoon 31, I believe they would call it.
Splatoon 31
Okay,
flavor.
this one is very fun. And we're probably going to have some really strong opinions about this one. Content Creator of the Year. QT Cinderella, Ludwig Agren, Carl Jacobs, Nobrew, or Nibelian. I'm going for Nibelian because he's the guy who quit Twitter. That's the only one I know.
Quit Twitter.
The guy who quit Twitter should be considered. If he wins Content Creator of the Award, of the Year award, that would make me want to go back to Twitter just so I could quit it more dramatically.
Well, and I think this is the whole like posthumously giving Best Actor award when they died that year. Sort of thing.
He's
I think it's
the
going to
Heath
happen.
Ledger of the video game industry.
I'm going to argue against Nibelian, and I'll tell you why. I am looking at this list on Wikipedia, and Carl Jacobs, Ludwig Agren, and QT Cinderella have their own Wikipedia articles. Nibelian and Nobrew do not. So I don't think they're significant enough to win this award.
Okay, well, I'm still going for, this is a manifestation vote.
Well, I don't think it's going to go to Carl Jacobs because, like, what kind of last name is Jingleheimer Schmidt, you know?
It's my name too, Frank.
Very good.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot.
QT Cinderella is the creator and co-host of the Streamer Awards.
Don't care.
So I don't know if they want to give her the award because it's kind of like acknowledging a rival award. But I don't know, that maybe they see that as a classy move. I'm going with Ludwig Agren. That's my choice. Final answer.
All right.
Nibelian is the consensus.
Yep.
Best adaptation. Oh, Lord. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Uncharted, The Cuphead Show, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, or Arcane. The winner is going to be Arcane, which is the Netflix show based on League of Legends. Yep. I don't know how I know this.
Or
That's
Edge
just
Runners.
or Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which is actually, man, people won't stop asking me if I've seen it and if I like it. Yeah, I've seen it. I like it. It's good. It's it's weird the way the question is phrased. It's people messaging me being like, I haven't seen you say anything on Twitter about Cyberpunk Edge Runners. It's like I've made 0 tweets this entire year, so I don't know, man. Were they expecting the one to be about Cyberpunk Edge Runners? It's cool, but I feel like that Arcane is going to win because they probably had some kind of you leave it to those people to have some kind of campaign for it. I didn't see it.
I think it had the biggest online fingerprint of the year.
Did we all see Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie? Who all saw it?
I haven't seen it yet. I've got it in my queue. I'm going to watch it soon. I have to watch it before the 17th when my Paramount Plus goes away.
I watched it. It was, I don't really remember it, but I watched it.
Yeah, I watched the first one in the theater and had a pretty fun time.
That's how I felt.
While fully acknowledging that it was absolutely a children's movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, same for the second one for me, yeah.
I think Sonic 2 is, I was a little more awakened to the idea that it's a children's movie, and I just couldn't sit still. I was just remembering childhood the whole time. I couldn't sit still. I was fidgeting the whole time. Yeah. And there's like a 30-minute sitcom episode that doesn't even feature Sonic, like in the middle of the movie. It's about some lady getting married in Hawaii.
Oh, I forgot all about
It's like, it's just so awfully paced.
pasted right in there.
It's just somebody sprayed diarrhea all over the script.
It's just like, what do you think of these characters? They got spin-off potential. What do you think?
It's like, I'm not here for this. It's like they did, however, make a movie about the video game Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and also put Knuckles in there somehow.
Sonic 2 and Knuckles.
I thought that was a very bad movie, but if it won, it would confirm a lot of things I think about the video game industry. And let's go on to the next one. Best family game.
Family game.
Nintendo Switch Sports, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, Splatoon 3, or Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. I'm going to abstain from voting for this one. If everyone else would like to do the same, say aye, and I will continue.
Aye.
I'm going to say Skywalker Saga.
Okay.
Okay, sure. Well, all right, buddy. So anyway, now here's an award that we all have strong feelings about. Best Esports Player of the Year.
Right.
Jacob Whiteacre, Jung Ji-hun, Faker, Simple, where the I is the number 1, or Kerrigan. Who do we
that I being in 1 is pretty sweet. I'm gonna go for that person.
I'm gonna go for the guy who has the very just normal looking Korean name. I'm just gonna go for him.
I'm going for Kerrigan because Kerrigan will kneecap you.
I'm going with Faker.
Faker, because you just prefer your players to be to not actually be good. He's to be cheaters who are not.
At least he's upfront about it.
He's just letting you know that somebody else is playing and he's just on the mic.
You don't have to worry about where he stands.
It's fully split there. Okay. This one is sure to divide listeners of the show. The award for best narrative. A Plague Tale. I know our listeners care a lot about AAA video game narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So there's A Plague Tale Requiem, Immortality, Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, or God of War Ragnarok. Very hilarious.
I think this is the one Ragnarok wins.
Wait, what is the category again?
Narrative.
Best narrative. Best narrative.
Yeah, they're going to give it to God of War.
Yeah, it'd be cool if Immortality won in a way.
Immortality actually wins, but they're going to it might give the award to somebody else.
Yeah, I feel like if they, Geoff Keighley wants it to be like I guess he said he wants it to be the Grammys of the video game industry.
He said Grammys?
That's what I heard. I heard that he said Grammys, but it would make more sense to be Oscars. But if it were the Oscars, I think they would do Immortality to make themselves appear like smart and erudite, but I think that it'll be God of War instead.
Yeah, it'll probably be God of War. It should be Immortality. I'd vote for Elden Ring. So,
yeah,
man, can I just say real quick that I accidentally looked at Twitter a while back and saw the absolute capstone of the worst video game discourse I've ever seen, which was people talking about how Elden Ring didn't deserve to be nominated for Best Narrative because there's YouTube videos that explain the story or whatever. It's like you got to be god darn out of your mind if you have any sort of problem with it's just such a stupid thing to argue about. They know what they're doing with their storytelling in those games. They are extremely good at it. If you don't see it, chances are you haven't looked for it. Let's go on to the next topic. Best role-playing game. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Triangle Strategy, Live Alive, Pokemon Arceus. So these are 4 Nintendo games published by Nintendo.
Pokemon
for the Nintendo Switch and Elden Ring.
Yeah, it's Elden Ring.
I'd give it to Elden Ring, man.
I think it will win.
I'd give it to Elden Ring. Yeah, if it's not Elden Ring, that's weird.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
I feel like Pokemon Legends Arceus has kind of a chance. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 also has a chance. Saw a lot of people saying Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is actually good, or whatever, using the word actually tentatively a lot. Those games are good, man, whatever. Best performance in a video game? I'm just going to say the names of the games, and you can just guess which character.
No, I can't.
Immortality, God of War Ragnarok, Plague Tale Requiem, Horizon Forbidden West, or God of War Ragnarok. There's 2 God of War Ragnaroks.
Yeah, it'll be God.
There's
Kratos.
Kratos.
It's gotta win then, right?
Yeah, it's got the best chance.
Yeah.
God of War, more like God of Win.
I am going to say Horizon Forbidden West. I think they want to give it to a lady.
I could also see
Ashley Birch. Ashley Birch has gotten a lot. She's gotten plenty of credit for lots of stuff over the years.
Oh.
I think we got to give it to Kratos from God of War because that guy's he's a beautiful man and he does a beautiful job in those games. People like to make fun of the way he says the word boy. He does it real good. And he does the full sentences real good as well.
Well, and it controls the rabbits when he does it. So
That's right.
Yeah. as we've established.
We doing any more of these?
I think we're basically done here. Sports racing, Gran Turismo.
Let's just. I'm pretty bored.
FIFA, NBA 2K. Who cares? Best fighting game. Yeah,
let's go on to our next.
Hold on, I'm trying to get to the end. Best art direction. If that Stray game wins anything, I'm gonna cry.
Let's do best indie game at least.
Independent game: Stray, Seafood, Neon White, Tunic, Cult of the Lamb. Is that it?
I think Stray's gonna win.
Stray, which is probably made by a team of like 800 people, something like that.
There's
right?
indie game and debut indie game. Those are two different things, and most of the and there's 3 games that are in both categories.
Stray's gonna win best independent game, probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether we want it to or not. Debut indie game.
I hope Vampire Survivors wins that personally.
Me too.
Debut, yeah, I feel like it should, but I feel like they're just going to probably give it to Stray. They're probably going to give both of them to Stray.
That sounds right.
Because somebody finally did it. The cheap trick of making a 3D game about a cat or a 4-legged animal. It's the cheapest trick in the book that everyone was avoiding because they felt like they were above it. Somebody finally did it, and they're going to just be showered in accolades. And then their second game will probably just not be any good. I'm sorry. I'm just prone to make fun of anybody who sympathizes with cats. Best game direction? Nobody knows what that is. Give it to Immortality.
That's a category that exists for Kojima.
Yeah,
right? And then they have to reluctantly come up with some other stuff when he hasn't shipped a game.
Yeah, when he's not right.
I made it for you, Daddy.
That was the secret that we could get out of him. Is
Yeah.
what is your pet name for Hideo Kojima?
Is Elden Ring nominated twice? How?
In what?
What, for best direction?
Yeah, for studio / game direction. I don't know. I'm tired of this. Best esports event, Evo. Best esports coach. Let's give it to Go Dong Bin. Best esports team, Los Angeles Thieves. Why not? I'm just picking, just running down the ballot here. I don't have anything else to say.
I'm just kind of looking at eBay at this point. What's up on eBay?
What's the best action adventure game of the year? Yeah, some of these awards are just, it's just, you don't know what games are good until 5 years later, man. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you really got to wait for it to hit Xbox Game Pass.
Well, I mean, a lot of stuff is Game Pass day one, Jeffy.
Yeah, that's true.
A Plague Tale Requiem, for example.
So you must already know it's good.
I guess. And you got to wait for something to be $1 in a Steam sale, and then you know it's good.
Can we get on to the actual content of the show?
Yeah, why not? Rip it off. Who cares?
All right. Okay, here's a question I've got for you. How have video games influenced our vocabulary, both personally and culturally?
The first thing that comes to mind that I want to point out is that the term pro tip has gone everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Everyone knows the term pro tip, and that is 1000% GamePro magazine.
Yeah, I recently did a little bit of an obsessive deep dive on this term because I heard it mentioned in a British TV show.
Right, it's everywhere. Like even outside of the US where they didn't have GamePro. They technically had a GamePro, but not our GamePro.
I just remember thinking, am I some kind of a troglodyte for assuming that's from GamePro? Is that really a term that originated elsewhere? Because clearly it would not have been vacuumed up by the cultural machine from, the crevice that is GamePro, right? Clearly it would have been inextricable from such a trench. Though, no, my research, quote unquote, concluded it's from GamePro. That's horrible. And it doesn't make any sense. Pro tip?
How do you think it broached that cultural barrier? What was the moment it escaped just like video game people?
Early internet.
Yes, early internet. Also, it just sounds like something that doesn't come from video games. So it's just a professional tip. It's very easy to absorb. I'm sure people don't know that that's where it comes from.
People don't realize that it originated emerged from the lips of liars such as Scary Larry, who dared declare themselves a pro at god-darned anything, when really they were just real bad writers writing really boring prose for a magazine and offering tips that are basically from the instruction manual. But you don't have the instruction manual. I do, because I'm a pro. You're just reading a magazine. Here's a pro tip. Press the start button to pause, It's like that's what suffices for a pro tip.
Thank you.
In these day and ages, right? Like, what's a good example of when was the last time you got a real pro tip, Frank? When was the last time somebody...
For a video game?
Just in general. somebody gave you a tip that really felt like a pro tip.
I mean,
they didn't have to say pro tip.
Right. I can't answer that because it might involve insider trading. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The last time I got a pro tip, Yuji Naka went to jail.
Twice.
Nice. Timely.
Nice.
I don't know. I don't remember the last time someone needed to give me a tip, if you know what I mean. Kind of got my stuff figured out at this point.
It wasn't the first time he went to jail, though it was the first soldier that got him in jail. So that's a joke.
I can think of a pro tip
the first soldier.
that I have been giving people that they didn't know about, which is that you can eat squash leaves and stems. Not a lot of people know that, it turns out. They're pretty good.
The only stems I like to eat are from weed plants.
Audio stems.
Let's chew on them. Audio stems.
Anyway, how it changed
the way you talk and the way we all talk.
I mean, I wouldn't say owned if not for video games, that's for sure.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a stupid word. I don't know. I probably wouldn't say the word gamer and put a 3 in it in my mind if not for video.
I just watched the movie Casino the other day because Mimsy hadn't seen it, and there's a part where he's like, where they mentioned the gaming community.
Yeah.
And Mimsy's like, did they just say the gaming community? And I'm like, yeah, it's a bit tricky. Oh yeah, I guess gaming doesn't mean the executives at casinos in Las Vegas anymore.
Yeah, that has really bugged me. I tried to fight that fight in Game Developer Magazine for a long time, but it was impossible because I was like, gaming has meant the gambling industry for like 50 years already. So, can we not use the word gaming industry when we're talking about video games? But the answer is no.
I think it's good that gaming applies to video games now, because the way it was developed to describe gambling was a way to obfuscate the fact that you were talking about gambling. And the fact that you have to go back to gamble to specify what you're talking about means they have to be more honest about it. That's why I nominated Faker as my esports gamer of the year.
There's still places, for
good.
example, the Bay Area, Alameda, California, where pinball is still technically illegal because of old gambling laws, because pinball started out kind of as like a pachinko-y gambling thing. And so there is a pinball museum out here, but they can only do it if you pay like a flat fee and call themselves a museum, because otherwise it's illegal. It's wild stuff. That's gaming for you.
Yeah, that rules. God, gaming owns.
That's time. Here's our next question. Does a video game protagonist have to be likable?
For me to enjoy it.
No.
Probably.
I mean,
but no.
A gaming protagonist doesn't really have to be a person.
Yeah, there's that.
Right. I don't like I mean, we're just talking about Elden Ring, so it's still top of mind, but it's like, I don't know, whatever it is that I'm running around as, I don't like that guy. He's just
I don't know what kind of guy.
Just an avatar in a game. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I've been playing Elden Ring for hundreds of hours at this point. I don't know who the heck this goddamn guy is, but I'm smoking down every last puff of that big bud.
Actually, now that I think about it, like with all the old characters, all the old games I've played where I'm just playing as a guy who's like murdering hundreds of people. I wouldn't like that guy no matter who he was, no matter how affable his dialogue. Like if he's killed that many people, I would steer clear. Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't hang out with most of those dudes.
So what does a video game protagonist have to be?
They got to feel good to move around.
Sexy.
That's what I would say. They got to be mechanically sound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They got to look real good. They got to look ripped. Huge chest, giant pecs, maybe a giant sword in one hand and a magic staff in the other.
Yeah.
Oh, you're that kind of multi-classic.
Good beard.
What's the length of a good beard?
Real long. I just posted in the insert credit chat room here on the Discord a picture of my Elden Ring character.
Oh, nice.
So that's my dude in Elden Ring. I think he's pretty cool.
I don't like him.
Yeah, I don't like that guy. I don't understand who he's supposed to be.
I feel like he's missing a bunch of his shirt.
Yeah, I think that's cool though. He's got huge pecs, and
he wants to show them off.
He's got the body hair slider at max, and his hair is snow white, and his skin is white. So his chest looks really, really like weird.
He's in Knight in Flame stance. He's got a glintstone pebble.
I think for me, it's less
Yeah.
about what they should be and more about what they shouldn't be. So it shouldn't be like a child or
a baby.
Yeah, no
baby,
no baby.
please.
No cavemen.
No cave babies.
Not into cavemen.
No cherub.
Yeah, no cherub.
No, do you want caveman?
No cavemen. There are too many caveman video games, and I don't know why there's so many. Cavemen are just
Chuck Rock.
not appealing. Chuck Rock, Joe and Mac.
Yeah, both Joe and Mac actually.
Chuck Rock 2, Son of Chuck.
I have a question for the room. So they did like an HD remake of Joe and Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Describe the person who purchased that.
French.
I follow a guy on Instagram who I don't want to like make fun of a guy I follow on Instagram who doesn't even know who I am.
You don't have to.
I just out of fascination, I just followed this guy once because he posted something cool that somebody had mentioned on Twitter, and he just posts pictures of video games he bought, and it's like he'll have it on his Nintendo Switch screen and be like, "About to check this one out," and that's it. And it's just, and he had the Joe and Mac game on one of his.
Is he
picks.
French or French Canadian?
No.
Oh, interesting.
I won't reveal any more.
I
about
will
this
say,
guy.
I used to have a segment on this show called "Who Is This For?" that you asked me to stop doing because it was too mean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go with French.
Joe and Mac. Too many cavemen in video games. Don't like them.
Well, these are cavemen ninja, so I don't really understand how the ninja part comes in, honestly, having played that game.
Yeah, Joe and Mac, it's one of the least ninjesque games that I've ever played in my entire life.
This is
honest.
also made by the person who did the Toki remake, or the team that did the Toki remake. So you gotta factor that in. This person is not.
It's very French.
They're not trying to make games that the world will love. They're trying to make stuff that they specifically are weirdly into for some reason. And
yeah,
good for
they're
them.
Probably like
Good for them.
Toki was the guy who went ape spit.
He did
right?
go that way.
Thing.
Yeah, that was the.
Yeah.
So whoever that person is who's getting they spend probably 12 hours of every day trying to get the rights to do like a Clockwork Knight sequel. Is probably that kind of person. That's all I have to say about that. Clockwork Knight is one of those games that
I'm glad people like that exist. People that are like, my whole thing is Joe and Mac for some reason. That's great.
I love Joe and Mac. Toki, favorite Saturn game is Clockwork Knight 1.
Can't wait to remake Bug 2.
Yeah, God, Bug. Lord. Bug is not a good game. I'm sorry.
No, it isn't. I keep trying to
Who
like
are
it.
you apologizing to?
The listener who loves Bug.
I'm apologizing to the Sega Saturn video game community. Yeah. It's like, there's a lot of these. Man,
are you apologizing for Clockwork Knight as well? I think we should.
I don't want to be mean. It's like, I saw a thread on Twitter the other day that had been retweeted, and someone was like, I've been playing Sega Saturn games lately, and here's a list of some of my favorites. And then it was just like 20 tweets that was just like, they basically put every single Sega Saturn game in there. And it's like my action games, check out this big old long list. Every reply is like, thanks for the list. I can't wait to check these out. And it's like, man, this is where a list of like 20 games or 12 games would have been like, really, really, a really good idea.
All right, we're going to be right back.
In other words, a lot of Sega Saturn games don't have a likable protagonist, is what I'm saying. And then some of them are great, so who cares?
Who cares indeed? We'll be right back after a quick break.
Hello, it's me, Brandon Sheffield. Last week, I was asked to watch the first 2 episodes of Bleach and the first 2 episodes of One Piece to see which I liked better. The idea was to forever solve who is the correct anime opinion haver, whether that's Ash with Bleach or Jaffe with One Piece. So it turns out I have actually seen the first 2 episodes of One Piece already, but that was around the year 2000 at my university anime club where we watched fan subs as they came out. I was introduced to the anime club by Insert Credit founder Vincent Diamante, but that's another story. I don't remember much about One Piece from that time, so it still felt like a blank slate, but because I had seen some of it, I decided to watch Bleach first. So let's get into it. My notes here say generic song of the era for intro. I think that's pretty accurate. It's got a lot of visual ideas though, and it almost feels like an AMV or anime music video. The first episode especially has that vibe for the first few sequences kind of intercutting between things. The premise is decent. Our protagonist has latent spiritual abilities and must become a spirit hunter. It's pretty clean, but his abilities are changing rapidly, so it makes a good setup for Monster of the Week episodes, while kind of keeping a tie throughout the series. But the art style is pretty rough for me. It really is from its era, and the vibe is all over the place, bouncing from hardcore serious teen emotions to goofy screaming nonsense. It's got good cliffhangers, and the voices and characters don't annoy me too much, which is really saying something. There's nobody who's too high and mighty, nobody whose voice is screechingly high, not that many eating sounds. Sonically, it's pretty good overall. Unfortunately, Bleach is hit by one of the bigger issues that faces all anime from this era. Bleach started in 2002, which is when kind of the peak of when anime was trying to incorporate early computer effects into traditional cell animation. I'm not talking about graphical effects like explosions or things, I'm talking about fake fisheye lenses or awkward pans and tilts. They looked bad then, but they look really awful now. I don't particularly hold that against Bleach, but it's hard not to notice it. And the ending song is terrible. Sorry. It's terrible. Overall, though, I do see why Bleach is the Ash recommendation. The characters don't say everything they think, so there's more room for fanfiction and interpretation in the space between the characters. It's a little more fluid, and there's more to grab onto reading between the lines. So now let's talk about One Piece. The intro song, much better. It's a lot more fun. It feels unique, clearly bespoke for the series. Also, being from 1999 means they're using a lot less of that bad computer stuff I talked about. There's a little bit, but it's mostly in the first couple episodes and then they abandon it. The plot is straightforward. Our protagonist, Luffy, is a stretchy boy and wants to become king of the pirates. His idea of piracy is very different from everyone else's, and he goes off to find a motley crew. I generally like this premise, as clean as it is. The colors are bright, and the characters are very straightforward in that shonen kind of way. This show is clearly intended for a younger audience. It also has an intro even before the opening song, and then huge recaps, and then an ending song, meaning the actual episode is around 15 to 17 minutes long. It's really short, it's breezy, and easy to watch. But it's also easy to ignore and come back to, which is good and bad. It also, for being so short, really draws some things out, which is odd and surprising. As for the voices, I don't love some of them, and there's lots of eating sounds and talking with one's mouth full, so there were a number of sequences that I had to mute. Luffy in particular takes some getting used to, but it's not as bad as someone like the protagonist of Black Clover or the original Japanese dub of Dragon Ball, both of which are basically unlistenable to me. I should probably mention that I'm listening to the Japanese dub here, not that that will surprise anyone, but should know that. I do see why this is the Jaffe choice. Characters are very straightforward and say what they think, nobody's hiding anything, and everyone's generally nice to each other. Also, the ending theme is ignorable, which is a big step up from the Bleach one. And the cliffhangers are even better here, and I will admit I did feel more like watching episode 3 of One Piece than I did Bleach. And so I did. I wound up watching 4 episodes of each out of fairness, and that 4-episode test basically only furthered my lean toward One Piece. This decision isn't exactly a slam dunk though, and as a side note, basketball is great, let's get together in front of TV. But there's one thing Jaffe didn't take into account regarding the first 2 episodes of Bleach: leak spin. Now, I'm sure at one point I knew where the leak spin animation came from, but I had definitely forgotten that it was from Bleach. That isn't truly fair because this memory is basically not about Bleach at all. If you don't know leak spin, it was an AMV that paired the Bleach character Orihime spinning a leak with the song Jevan Polka by the Finnish band Loitema. This was a huge video in the anime and general nerd person world, and its influence is still felt today, with Hatsune Miku, among others, spinning leaks in basically every goofy Japanese video game since. Like, if there's an MMO, there will be a weapon that's a leak, and it's because of leak spin. Anyway, seeing it live in episode 2 of Bleach and having that memory come rising back really did add a lot of points in Bleach's favor. But when all's said and done, Bleach is grim and new metal feeling, and then sometimes really goofy in an incongruous way, and it's got that teen angst oozing out everywhere. One Piece, on the other hand, has an imagined child's optimism, which can be distracting in its own way, but is ultimately more appealing to me in late 2022. Bleach feels like a PS2 game, with its grim darkness, where One Piece is a little more of a GameCube game. In the 2, now 4-episode test, I have to say One Piece does win for me. But I don't think I'll actually be continuing with either series particularly. Maybe if I get desperate, but I wasn't grabbed. So my final conclusion is that if you want a long-running shonen series that feels like a Dreamcast game instead, watch Hunter x Hunter. So Jaffe wins this round, but if you watch Hunter x Hunter, then you win. Okay, thanks. Bye forever.
Welcome back to Insert Credit. It's a time to go to the dirt bag. This is the point in every episode where I go over to patreon.com/insertcredit, where for just a few dollars a month, you can get access to a form that allows you to submit questions of your own. You also get monthly bonus episodes, sometimes more than monthly bonus episodes, and other fun surprises. You'll just have to subscribe and see for yourself.
Surprised.
I guarantee there's never been a better value. This week's question comes from Mech, who asks, has there ever been a good boss fight in a first-person shooter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you describe it?
Hold on.
When does it happen?
I'm thinking about it. There's something that's coming to mind, but I'm not quite grabbing it.
I think people need to check out Long Hunter from Turok Dinosaur Hunter. That's all. Check out Long Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. Just go for Long Hunter.
I've actually had quite a few fun Turok Dinosaur Hunter boss fights. I enjoy... There's like a mech spider thing that you fight in Wolfenstein New Colossus, maybe, that I had fun shooting out all the little red dots on it and jumping around. All the bosses in that are pretty fun because it's like you're shooting a big Nazi war criminal robot. That's pretty good. What else though? I feel like there's some first person like Descent type thing that I like, but I can't call it to mind. Like some sort of first person I'm in a ship type of shooter that I've enjoyed.
I will say that taking down the big alien tanks, the scarabs in like Halo 2 and Halo 3, when you're playing co-op, it feels extremely cool to like team up with a guy and take this giant walking tank down. It's a lot of fun.
True. Yeah, there's some good Halo ones. So I found that the bosses in Halo Infinite were kind of frustrating. Well, I don't know if they're bosses per se, but like the difficult combat scenarios. Like you go over here and there's a special guy who is a prisoner or whatever, and basically anytime there's an elite that has too much invisibility.
Yeah.
I don't see why there shouldn't be a lot of really good bosses in first-person shooters games. It seems like it shouldn't be that hard to do if you were making one.
I mean, I feel like there kind of are. I feel like there tend to be some pretty fun scenarios. Anywhere where there's got to be like a great one in Titanfall, right? I still haven't really played Titanfall very much, but anything where you got a lot of mobility.
I understand why there might be a conception that there aren't good boss battles.
They're more about crowd control.
First-person shooters as a rule. Yeah, because it's about shooting lots of stuff, usually. And a lot of the games that you would immediately think, oh, that one's got shooting and also a good boss, tends to be, a game that's not, it's either a third-person shooter or first-person, but not actually a shooter. I think the bosses in the Metroid Prime games are very good, just in general. However, if you called those games first-person shooters, that's incredibly reductive. So... interesting.
I was just realizing that Left 4 Dead has some of my favorite boss battles, probably of all time. Because you just like you alert the horde and they all come and there's probably a tank and stuff, but it's the boss is the scenario rather than the specific enemy. And I think when people say bosses, they legit mean like a one-on-one fight. Is like what the platonic ideal of people wanting a boss. Well, if a scenario counts as a boss, then I would say Left 4 Dead.
Well, no, I would say the Left 4 Dead bosses are really good. It's just, I feel like you'd get too many people being, well, actually, I don't know.
I mean, a tank does inevitably show up during those sequences, which you could sort of say is a boss because it's a big damage sponge. But I get it's a little away from the spirit of the question.
How dare you betray the spirit of the question, Brandon? Shame on you.
Ghost of questions past.
I think you should be able to there should be some real good bosses in FPSs. I don't know too many of them, but
how do you make one?
It shouldn't be that hard. Yeah, I don't necessarily, strictly speaking, have the time or the drive to do that just right now, to tell you the truth.
I think if you can move around and there's different stuff to do that makes sense, and you can divine a good path that seems good. Like say there was a boss where you were routing to get to different weapons to shoot their different parts at different times. It could be fun, or it could be a big disaster. But you could make something like that fun. I'd probably check it out.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the way FPSs are. You start to add mechanics to an FPS, right? You start to just add a couple little things in there, and then you get a whole lot of people telling you, well, it's not really an FPS anymore. You can jump? No, I don't like FPSs where you gotta jump a lot. That's not really an FPS. And then it's like you start to, the question just starts to corrupt itself at that point. It's a very slippery slope.
Yeah, are the Doom and Doom Eternal scenarios, do those count as bosses? There are kind of bosses.
Yeah, there's bosses in there.
That's time. I think we've established a few. There are some good boss fights in first-person shooters, and there can be more.
Yes.
Speaking of community involvement, there's an ongoing discussion in the Insert Credit forums that posits a fighting game is only as good as its coolest lady. By that metric, what's the best fighting game?
So you're just asking who's the coolest lady in fighting games? Is that the question?
That's the question.
It's a tough one. It's tough because a lot of cool lady characters are also cops or military.
That's true.
Which devalues their coolness by quite a lot.
Yeah, Street Fighter is lots some cash.
Yeah.
I don't have a good internal database of fighting game characters, but I just want to say that Sonya Blade is not cool.
That's fair. I don't think Sonya Blade's ever been cool.
Sonya Blade is absolutely not cool at all. I mean, Street Fighter 3 has got Makoto, who I think is the coolest lady in video games.
Makoto's cool. Elena's cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd just say it's Third Strike.
There's a bunch of King of Fighters that I like, though, and they keep adding more. And so, I mean, I think Angel is cool. I think Yuri's kind of cool to some extent. I think that weird Pachinko lady who came out in KOF 14 is cool. But, yeah, I would usually go for Asuka 120% in these kinds of cases, but I don't know that all those high schoolers are the coolest. They're still figuring stuff out. They don't know that they haven't established the coolness yet, perhaps.
They're working on it.
If Patrick Miller were here, he would probably talk about May or Jam from Guilty Gear.
Or King.
Yeah, King from King of Fighters. King's pretty cool. It's a good one.
There's a character in King of Fighters named King that rules.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
There's also a character in Tekken named King.
That's true.
So
is there a character in Tekken named Tekken?
No, but there's a character in King of Fighters named Tekken. That's not true.
It's not true.
I don't think that's true.
No, I don't think that's the case. They might get in trouble for that.
Tekken just means Iron Fist. So
It's the Iron Fist tournament.
it's the King of Iron Fist tournament. Yeah.
Oh, so there's a character in Marvel vs. Capcom named Tekken.
That's true. Yeah. It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like, what is it, Akira from 3D Street Fighter? Why can't I remember this 3D Street Fighter series?
Street Fighter EX?
EX, yeah.
The one with Skullomania in it?
Yeah. Skullo Slider, Skullo Crusher. And I think she came back in the one that those guys made that doesn't have all the Street Fighter characters in it that I can't remember the name of. I'm ill prepared for this question.
The subtitle of this show, yes.
I'm going to go with King of Fighters because it probably has, by volume, the most ladies that have cycled through it as a series, and King is in
By
there.
law of large numbers, surely one of them must be the coolest.
That's right. That's what
Yeah, they really shotgunned the dartboard in that game series.
Yeah.
When it comes to making characters and throwing them out there.
Did they make one with everybody in it? Does the cast accrue, or do they swap people in and out?
They swap people in and out, but
It's a
they
continuity, man.
Yeah, they do add more. But
Jeffy, that's like asking if every issue of DC Comics that comes out has every DC Comics character ever.
Increasingly, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get into that.
Does every Superman villain appear in every episode of Superman? Episode, every issue.
But
I sure wish it didn't.
King of Fighters 14 has 58 characters.
Yeah.
That's slightly too many.
It's maybe too many of them. Some of them are DLC, but really it's only 8 of them that are DLC. The rest of them are
Let's
flat.
face it, how many of those characters are household names?
Yeah, probably 4.
Terry Bogard, because
Terry
he's in
Bogard.
Smash? Is
Yeah.
that about it?
Yeah, I don't think you could even argue Mai is a household name.
Yeah,
She's just kind of like chesty lady.
Kyo is maybe not, but elsewhere he might. I think it depends on whether are we talking about households in northern in North America or South America? Because I think you might get a different response.
I'm just talking the global household index.
Well, I think if you include like specifically Mexico, I think then the cachet rises for the household naming. But yeah, still there are no Ryu and Ken as
I mean, Bayonetta is in Super Smash Bros. So doesn't that just mean Super Smash Bros?
Super Smash is the best fighting game.
Oh no!
Because isn't she just designed to be the objectively coolest lady?
I think her coolness stock took a plummet with the latest game.
Yeah, they're gonna fix it later. They say
they'll fix it. Right. Maybe
not. Well, we've resolved that. On to our next question.
Yeah,
excellent.
The new once per decade Sight and Sound poll determining the new greatest movie of all time is out. So I am obligated by the format of our show to ask you this question: what is the Jeanne Dielman of video games?
Oh, very good question.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie.
I've never heard of the movie.
Okay, so let's just say we had decades upon decades of basically the same movies always being number one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Citizen Kane, Vertigo.
Citizen Kane, Vertigo, Tokyo Story, Bicycle Thief. I refuse to call it Bicycle Thieves. I don't accept the name change, even though I've seen the movie enough times to know why there's the multiple names of that movie. I would like to think of it as just being about one thief, I don't know.
As far as the person whose bicycle was stolen is concerned, it was one thief.
Yes. Well, have you seen the movie? Have you seen the bicycle?
But I mean, culturally, right, is this like the foreign film?
It stratospherically rose to the top after not being near the top. It was usually the top 5 movies were just kind of shuffling around nervously, musical chairs-esque.
Well, now, hang on. So I actually heard of this movie for the first time like a week ago.
Yeah.
And I think it was the New York Times was looking at the AFI list, I think, and it was on the top of the list for like decades.
No, as I mentioned in the question, they take a Sight and Sound runs a poll every 10 years.
Sight and Sound, that was that. Yeah, okay, not AFI. Sight and Sound, that was it.
Talking to directors and filmmakers to list their favorite movies.
So this was at the top of the list for a while.
And for the first time, this was at the top. And
it's now off the list. Is it off the top?
No.
100?
No.
Okay.
Now it's number one.
Okay, Jeffy, my description was very clear. I was trying to spell it out very clearly before I got distracted by Bicycle Thief. Okay, Frank, every 10 years they do a poll, Sight and Sound magazine. Yeah. They poll film directors. Film directors give a list of 10 movies that they send, not like a ranked list of 10 movies.
But it's like 100 now, right? Like they publish the 100.
Yeah, they publish a list of 100 because they poll many film directors, and you end up with this list.
And critics, 1,600 people.
1,600 people now. Citizen Kane, Vertigo, Tokyo Story, a couple of Bicycle Thief, a couple movies have dominated the top slots of the list, being Citizen Kane had an extremely long, multi-decade streak at the top of the list. Right. The movie that is at the top of the list this time was never anywhere near the top. It just kind of came out of quote-unquote nowhere. Not really out of nowhere. It's a movie people know. It is credited, its win, its shocking upset is credited to Sight and Sound polling more directors now, a wider variety, more diverse directors of more nationalities and more genders. They branched out and polled way more people than usual, and you ended up with one movie just kind of, confoundingly reaching the top. Right? Yeah. Just it's shocking and surprising a lot of people. This movie that many people had, it was joked about on social media quite roundly that many people had never heard of this movie. I never even heard of this movie. It was at the top. What the heck, man? Like there were many great jokes about how YouTubers were going to be reacting to it in the next couple months, and it would become insufferable to listen to YouTube critics talking about this thing. So the idea is we have a couple video games that we always talk about being at the top of the list. Ocarina of Time. We did that extremely video game podcast-esque segment somewhat recently where Jaffe asked us to rank the top 10 games on Metacritic, right? Remember that? Frank, you weren't here for that one, right? We have a couple games that are always at the top. So what is the game that's going to come out of nowhere 50 years from now that we've all already played right now? And it's just going to be the number one game.
Yeah, one other little element I would add is that with this kind of thing, it is entirely possible that this movie recently went through the discourse in a way that we couldn't see. Like this, it could be that all of these directors who and critics who put it up there only watched it for the first time this year, and they were like, "This is the best movie."
Very recently, yeah. And it is also it's a timely selection for being a feminist film, very strikingly feminist message, etc., etc. Right? So it's something that we can't really predict what 50 years from now will be going on in the world. Probably everybody will be dead, but in case they're not. What video game from, let's say, the years 2010 to 2015, I would assume, will people be plucking out and suddenly going, actually, this is the best game ever?
Bomberman Act Zero.
And Bomberman Act Zero.
I'm going to throw one out that I think I'm the only one here who's really absorbed.
Let's hear it.
If maybe even played it all, which is Fallout New Vegas.
Fallout New Vegas. I've actually played.
You did? Okay, that was not true last we spoke about this game.
Yeah, it's somewhat recently, yeah.
I actually think that it is a narrative masterpiece in the world of video games. I think that you cannot break this story, and it's always entertaining, and it's always full of, I'm not going to actually say meaningful choices, but it's full of doing the magic trick that makes you feel like you've made meaningful choices.
I do like that
they're
trick.
They're a little bit shallow, but they feel right. And the core premise of sort of choosing between 2 or 3 not very good options and having to live with the consequences as far as the overall narrative choice and how you end the game and stuff like that is, I think, really compelling. It makes you kind of see gray area in a way that a lot of games don't, and it doesn't force it down your throat because you feel it through playing the game and through how the world is reacting to your choices and things like that. It's not, it's not like, I don't know, BioShock or whatever, where you do the bad choice and like watch yourself murder a child. You know what I mean? It's like it just, the consequences of your actions happen no matter what, and all of your actions have consequences, and none of them are great, but it really makes you consider what those options are. And I think it's one of those games where it's like the people who love it just won't shut the heck up about it, and everyone else just kind of hasn't played it. It's my feeling, or couldn't get past the performance issues at launch for this game that, by the way, they made in like a year somehow. So I think that one is going to sort of rise into the top 10 of video game narrative canon if it still works in 50 years.
I have another thought. The thing about Jeanne Dielman is that it has a very small subject matter. It's about the life of this one woman in France. Like, conceptually, it's a very simple thing. And I think when we're talking about a game that we're looking back on,
it's conceptually simple, but craft-wise incredibly dense.
Yes,
we should say.
Yes.
There's craft, and there's a lot of craft in there.
50 years is a long time. I think there's time for a game to kind of get lost in the cultural discussion and be rediscovered again as this thing that's unlike any other game that is going to be like the way that games are developing right now. I think in 2072, people might rediscover Journey as like this really special, interesting thing that isn't at all like
the servers
games.
Will be gone.
No?
The servers will be nuked. I'm going to say that the game that will be the sight and sound pole topper of the future for video games is going to be a Japanese video game that has yet to receive a fan translation as of this discussion. But there have been enough fan translations.
Also, like Linda Cube.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to come right out and say it, but yeah, that was the one I was going to say. So I feel like Linda Cube is going to be celebrated as the greatest game of all time at some point in the next 40 or 50 years. I mean that very, very, I have a lot to say about it. I don't have time for it right now. That or Oreshika. Oreshika could also be cited as the greatest video game of all time by the same developers over at Alpha System. Geniuses over there. I feel like it's a game that is yet to, if not Linda Cube, there have been so many fan translations of games recently that have opened people up to the idea of playing a fan translated ROM of a PS1 game. I feel like the celebrated, I feel like one of them, there's going to be a moment where suddenly, you see a couple thousand people going, I got to try this out. You know, every time one of these fan translation patches launches, you'll see a couple thousand people being like, well, this is cool. I want to play this game. Does anybody know how to set up a PlayStation emulator? And, you know, there'll be a couple hundred tweets about it. I feel like there's going to be one that results in like a mainstream publication being like, you've got to play this game.
Yeah,
here's how to emulate PlayStation games. Here's where to get it. Like, there's going to be a moment where that happens. And then, you know, the publisher will emerge from out of nowhere. What's happened with the YouTube algorithm pumping city pop music to the point where a lot of these all but retired city pop musicians come out of retirement with a new album, right? The publisher will reappear. The Alpha System will rematerialize and be like, hey, we're re-releasing Linda Cube with an official English translation for the Nintendo Switch 3 or whatever, right? And it's just going to suddenly pop out of the ether. And somehow that's going to make a couple cycles through the discourse. And then eventually, 50 years from now, someone's going to be like, this is the best game of all time.
And Tim, as a sidebar to that, the City Pop thing, City Pop isn't or wasn't a widely used term in Japan, really. Like it was sort of there, but
it was a real maniac term. Yeah, I believe they would have said.
It became really bigger and more blown out over here. But to the extent that now, when you go into a disc union in Japan, there is a City Pop section.
Oh, yeah. I noticed that back in 2019.
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
We don't really have time for a lightning round, but I want to do it anyway.
Let's do it.
Ken, you please indulge me. All right. We're recording this, as we discussed in length at the first half of the show, on the day of the 2022 Game Awards, which means it's time for an improv zone, boys.
What?
Oh, come on.
How's that a lightning round?
Yeah. Each of you are presenting categories at the Game Awards this year. I'm going to call out the category, and one of you has to give your introductory spiel talking about how special and important that award is before presenting the nominees.
See, this is less improv than just like a worksheet, basically, but keep going. You're giving us a kindergarten worksheet. We should just be improvising our own categories. Anyway, keep going.
Once you say, and the nominees are, I'll call out another category, and another one of you will take over.
Okay.
Whoever is feeling the boldest, jump in when I say best narrative.
Best narrative. The stories inspire us. The stories, more than anything else, more than graphics, more than sound, more than gameplay. It's the story that remains when the credits roll. Video games have always been about stories. Well, maybe not Pong. But ever since Pac-Man...
Pause for laughter.
But ever since Pac-Man, there's been a story. Who is this guy? Who are these ghosts? What's going on in here? Who's on drugs? Maybe us. Tonight's nominees might have a little bit more going on than Pac-Man. But, I think
I'm not going
we
this
all
long.
enjoy them. I think we enjoy them all. So, let's take a look at the nominees.
Best score and music.
Music!
Lot of time. Scoring has been the most important thing to teenage boys.
Yeah.
Tonight's nominees represent... I'm going to stop there.
Scoring.
That's my joke.
Video games have come a long way since Tommy Tallarico's Earthworm Jim soundtrack. Tonight's nominees are better than that.
Best performance.
Whether you have a 3080 or a 3090, performance is what matters the most in your PC gaming experience. The nominees are...
No, they're in the 4,000s now, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Performance inspires us.
That's right.
Best ongoing game.
You ever notice some games just don't stop these days? We noticed
I feel
that.
like I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla for a year.
But I don't think that's what they mean, Tim, by this category. The games that are still going on purpose are...
All right. Best indie game.
Indie games inspire us.
I thought Machine Games' Indiana Jones game wasn't coming out until next year.
Pause for laughter.
What
Pause
are
for
all
laughter.
of these posers?
I think actually
I'm
it would
just kidding.
be like someone completely different from the rest of the audience comes up and is like, indie games are the most important media to... this will be the one time someone makes a statement, and also we all have to unionize. The end. The nominees are...
The indie games introduction is, I'm Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You might have seen my film Black Adam. If you haven't, go check it out. Indie video games. I hear they're important, but are they as good as my movie? Don't think so. Let's take a look at these stupid nominees, guys, huh?
Pause for laughter.
There you go. That's how it would actually be.
Most anticipated game.
Can't wait for that Zelda, huh? Well, here it is.
Yeah, no need to read the others.
Anticipation inspires us.
Our frothing demand increases.
The Player's Voice Award. This is the fan vote category.
Oh, it's like the People's Choice, but it's
Yeah.
voice, and that's clever because it's video games, and video games have voice.
Yeah, the Player's Voice Award.
If I had my way, you wouldn't be allowed to vote. That would be me just personally, if I personally were presenting the category.
Games are nothing without their players, and so we've given you a voice. And your voice says, God of War Ragnarok.
Either Genshin Impact or Sonic Frontiers. Best esports athlete.
Oh my god.
You know, there's muscles all over your body, including your thumbs. Start there.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
I've been working my glutes out lately so I can be more comfortable in my gaming chair. I'm an athlete too.
Pause for laughter, pause for laughter.
Yeah.
Our last category is Content Creator of the Year.
Well, we didn't get to do art? I had something for
Nope,
art.
art's not important.
I
Okay.
really wish we could have nominated the Game Awards for Best Content of the Year. Why can't we win an award at our own show?
All right, we'll throw one in for art right here at the
Big
end.
round of applause.
Well, for art?
Yeah,
Okay.
go for it, Brandon.
People may say that art is dead now that AI has taken over the entire industry. These nominees prove it's got a couple more years left.
Yeah, that was worth diverting the end of the show for a couple seconds. But Tim, I'm going to give you your 10th host point. Congratulations,
Oh, no.
you made it.
I did it.
You did it. Right now it's time for our recommendations and plugs if we have them.
Recommendations.
Oh yeah, R&Ps. Man, do I have any? Do I even have any?
You know, I feel like a lot of our listeners are probably approximately our age. Does that seem right? Do we have a demographic report for the Insert Credit Show?
They're a little younger. They're somewhere between my age and your age, really.
Yeah, so that's not a big difference, but yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I'm going to say this anyway. So I might have talked. I have talked about this briefly on the show before, but last year we visited Ed Semrad, who edited Electronic Gaming Monthly in the '90s and dug out all of his prototype games from his basement. So I am currently editing a little blog post about all those ROMs. So check out gamehistory.org to check out the stuff that we found in Ed's basement, which will be out by the time the show's out.
What does that have to do with how old people are?
Because he stopped editing the magazine in 1996.
EGM was a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think in general our audience is interested in old game stuff.
Okay, sure.
OGS.
Actually, I'm gonna put an image in the chat that I'm kind of proud of. That I edited when I was bored earlier during the Game Awards segment. So I found a video of him doing his photography, and then I realized that shot actually ran in EGM.
Oh, no kidding.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that owns.
Brandon, you got anything?
My recommendation is whatever I just told you in the Bleach and One Piece segment. So that's my recommendation.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I haven't listened to that yet. I can't wait. Tim, what you got?
I don't think I got anything.
That's fine.
Oh wait, also wish list Hypergun Sport, because we're trying to get past 4,000 wish lists before we launch the game, and it's very telling which of your games people are naturally interested in and which ones you kind of have to force people to get interested in, because Hypergun Sport has almost 4,000 wish lists after being on the Steam store since 2017, basically. It was originally as Gunsport, but now as Hyper Gunsport. And Demon School has been on the Steam store for people to wish lists for like 5 months now, and maybe a little longer. And it has 33,000 wish lists, so there's a big gap there, and that's very, very interesting to me. But yeah, it would be cool if we could get above 4,000 for Hyper Gunsport before it goes. So let's try to make that happen.
I think that we could make that happen. We, the listeners of this show, and the friends of this show who we can seek
Who may
out
not
and
listen.
make do our bidding.
Yeah.
Make them listen to this show, then make them wish list Hyper Gunsport in that order.
Yeah.
Here are some other recommendations. If you're listening to this show on iTunes or some other format where you can subscribe to a review podcasts, do that. We're almost at 500 5-star reviews on Spotify. That's pretty cool. You could also go to patreon.com/insertcredit, where you could become a patron to submit your own topics, listen to monthly bonus episodes, and get other exclusive content. You could also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com, or look for Insert Credit on YouTube or other social media platforms you are currently exploring. This show is edited by Esper Quinn, with original music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
And we're all winners as far as the Game Awards are concerned, I'd say. I think the real winners are the games we played along the way. Something to think about. Sure.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Let's say that. That's my outro for this week. And you know what? I'm going to make that my outro for the next year. Sticking to it. No, I don't. I didn't write it down. No.